Today we're going to do a mindfulness exercise, and today I've chosen to work with flowers. This exercise will work perfectly well with whatever flowers you choose. If you don't have any flowers to hand, you could even go outside and just, if it's all you could find, a leaf would work equally well. But working with flowers will give you more details to take in and to look at. Today I've chosen to work with these beautiful carnations. And what I'd suggest is that you do this exercise when you get 10 minutes to yourself, or you can be somewhere where you know you're not going to be disturbed. It's only a short exercise, but one that you can call on if you're feeling a little bit fraught, or you've got a very, very busy day that you're either caught up in the middle of, or you know you're going to have to face that busy day. It would also work well at the end of a day. If, for instance, you've had a really busy day at work or sorting jobs out, and you know it's time to chill out, but your mind's still going 10 to the dozen about the jobs you've either not finished, or what jobs still need doing, or what tomorrow is going to bring. Sometimes we feel it really, really difficult to turn from the madness and chaos of our daily jobs and daily tasks to take ourselves to that chilled out place where our body can rest and our mind can rest. So this little task may help. Obviously there's lots of things you can do this with. It doesn't have to be flowers or leaves. But we'll look at other ideas in another recording. But for now, as I said, I'm going to work with these beautiful carnations. So what I suggest is you concentrate on one of the flowers. And I'm going to choose this one, simply because it's the most open of the bunch, and so therefore there's lots of things to look at within the flower. But I'm not going to start at the flower, I'm going to start at the stem end. So I want you to take your flower. First of all, just look at the stem. And you'll notice that even the stem's got quite a lot of things going on too. We can look where the flower's been cut. And as we can see from this flower, we can see right inside it to all the like sap that's in it. And if we just feel the end and feel, does it feel rough? Does it feel smooth? This actually feels quite sharp where it's been cut. And then moving along the stem, what do we see? Well, on this piece of carnation, the way it's been cut, we've got two little leaf shoots coming off it. And we can see that despite whatever's happened here, it's lost a little leaf shoot. It's still got 1, 2, 3. And look at them. Do they sit close to the stem? Feel them. Do they feel smooth? Or do they feel rough? Notice the colours. They vary. Where they join the stem, as you can see, they're a lighter green. And as they go off into the leaves rather, they go darker green. So there's a few things that you've already looked at. You've looked, you've touched, you've counted, you've compared the colours. And it's the sort of thing that you would never ever do normally. You would normally just come home with the bunch of carnations and just plonk them in a vase or whatever's to hand. But when we see a flower that we've purchased from a shop, we look and we just generally think, oh, it's a flower. They're lovely flowers. We don't really think where they've come from. We don't really think that that single flower will have had other flowers that have grown along the same shoot. We don't think where it's been grown. Has it been grown in a garden? Has it been grown in a commercial greenhouse? Yes, we might know where we bought it, but does that tell us where the flowers come from? No. So that's something else you can think about. If you want to make the exercise last a little longer, you could even go as far back as to when this flower's a seed and imagine its journey. But for now, we're just going to focus on this one flower as it is, right here, right now in our world. So when we move up the stem, we can see little leaves that would have been at the base of the bud. And I have got some still in bud here, so just for now, and this isn't something that you necessarily need to do. But here's a flower in bud. Now it's a different colour, we can see that, but it's the same type of flower. So we can see quite easily where these leaves were in relation to the flower opening. So obviously this would be closed here like this, and that is how the flower opens. Now if you've got a bunch of flowers and you have got some that have already opened, like this beautiful flower, and you've also got some of the same kind of flower in bud, by all means compare them. And compare every detail. And of course the more detail you look for, the more time you take in to focus purely on what's at hand. So then I'm going to move up the bud, or what would have been the bud, and as you can see there's still lots of different colours here. Light greens, dark greens. And as we move up, we come to these beautiful petals. Now this is going to vary depending on the type of flower, but at this point you could count the petals. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of petals in this one. But that's something you could do, you could count them. But also feel the petals. Do they feel smooth? Do they feel very thin, like they could just break very easily? Or depending on the type of flower you have, they may feel thicker. You can look at the size of the petals. Are they all the same size? Do they all fit nicely together? I can see here this one's ended up a little bit creased, so it's grown in that shape where it's had to come out of the flower. But you can see in this case, this is obviously a variegated colour, so you're going to see more detail in the petals than you would in a flower that was all one colour. And obviously carnations come in lots of colours, and it could be a solid colour, and it could be like this variegated petal. But when you look at the petals, look at them in slightly more detail, and you can see, are they smooth? No. They've got little tiny teeth, haven't they? They're not smooth petals at the end. They're almost frilly. That one shows it very nicely. Can you see? And that one's got a little tiny tear in that petal. And then I want you to look at the colour in more detail. If I hold it there, the colour looks dark. Hold it so the light goes through, obviously it lightens it. But you can look at your flower at all different angles, hold them up to the light, put them so that they're down in a darker place. Again, it's just about noticing every single detail of the flower and taking your sole attention to this flower and away from everything else in the world. And just ask yourself the questions as you go. And at first it may seem a little bit odd because we don't look at things in detail like we are doing. We normally just go, oh, that's a nice flower, look, oh yes, it's red and white or pink and white. It's beautiful, yes, let's stick it in a window. It's what we do. But when we look at things in detail like this, and we ask ourselves the questions, we can spend a good few minutes just taking ourselves out of the everyday life and hullabaloo and purely focusing our attention on the here and now and what is in front of us, which is the best way to live. We know we can't turn back time, and we know we can't reliably predict the future, but we can be here now, right now. Everything's okay because all I'm thinking about is this flower. That's my task for this short time, these 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it might be. Everything else gets put on hold, and my attention is right here, right now. And obviously, dependent on the kind of flower you have, it may smell. There's another thing you can look at. You know, how long is the stem? There's as many questions as you want to ask. And only you will know, dependent on what the situation is that you're trying to get your mind distracted from, how much detail you need to look for in this flower. And we can see again, just one more little thing that I've noticed is, this flower isn't fully open yet. So imagine how beautiful it'll be when it is fully open. It's beautiful now. But think of that as your mind. Your mind has not been fully opened. And that goes for most of us. It's very easy to think about what we have going on in the world. All the troubles, they're the easiest things to think about, aren't they? We have no trouble whatsoever thinking about all the problems in the world. At all. But think of yourself as the flower. And when we look, all flowers start off as a tiny bud, And they grow and grow until, just like this flower, they blossom. And we can only blossom when all the conditions are right. But in the meantime, we need to nurture ourselves, just like these flowers will have been nurtured by whoever's grown them. And in nurturing ourselves, it's important that we give ourselves time for self-care and distraction. That way we give our minds a rest. And that allows us to move forward and bloom to the best we can be. I hope you've enjoyed that little exercise. As I say, you can do it with absolutely anything that you have around you. It doesn't even have to be a living thing. You can do it with absolutely anything. But for today, just take time to do that short exercise. With a flower if you've got it, or like I say, you can always go and get a leaf out of the garden, a blade of grass even. And just talk yourself through the kind of questions we asked about the flower. So, how did it start off? Where did it start off? And what has it needed to grow? And just for that few moments, take the time to just be with that flower. For we are human beings, not human doings. Namaste.